And that's why I brought on today somebody who I think has some thoughtful perspectives on the future direction of our country, of our conservative movement, and on this question of nationalism and national identity, somebody who I've been fascinated by for a long time and have interacted with on social media, but for the first time we're having at least live form conversation in the offline sense of it. It's Ann Coulter. So Ann, thanks for coming on, and I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I too am a fan of yours. I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American Black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian. We'll get back to that.
That's one way to start a conversation with special guest Ann Coulter, who continues to prove over and over that political principles, beliefs, agendas are all secondary and maybe even meaningless when compared to many conservatives' connection to their white supremacy complex. But Vivek already knew that. It's just hard for him to accept it publicly.
We are in danger as a country. And listen to me, Generation Z. Listen to me, millennials. Those of you that are watching, that you like this new young guy. If he does not serve the Lord Jesus Christ and stand primarily for Judeo-Christian principles, you will have a fight with God. You're going to have some dude put his hand on something other than the Bible? You're going to let him put all of his strange gods up in the White House?
Our main audience is the conservative Christian right-winger that's going, hey, what's going on with America? We need to figure out what's happening. We need to fix it. And so they're asking me, why would you have a guy that's a Hindu on and compared to Christianity? And I think this is before we go any further, I need to hear from you. Speak to that with our audience because they need to understand where you come down on this, on the stand of religious freedom. Are you against Christianity? You know, where is all of this happening? I know you've had to deal with this already before, but I wanted our people to hear from you direct.
These guys can keep trying to tell you that they're a big tent party. They even cautiously present someone risky every once in a while, like a woman that escaped the kitchen or an articulate Black, as Ann Coulter said. But once the Nikki Haley's, Ben Carson's, and Vivek Ramaswamy's get too uppity, that big tent collapses right on top of them.
Satan is the author of confusion. There's a man who is gaining traction right now as the presidential nominee, and his name is Vivek Ramaswamy, and he is Hindu, and those who are Hindu believe in many gods, and he speaks well, and he is very charismatic, and he says the right things. He says so many right things. Sometimes I'm like, maybe he is the right guy, but he's not, because our God will not be mocked. And you know what? You know who he reminds me of sometimes? Barack Obama. Because he is charismatic. He says all the right things. Do not be fooled, friends. Do not be fooled. Do not be a victim of Satan's confusion right now, because God hates those who are willing to put up idols over him.
Wait, what was that about what God hates?
God hates those who are willing to put up idols over him.
Throw it up! Awesome. That is so cool. We're the people. That is so cool.
Just a little bit of extra hypocrisy from the fake Christians that run the Republican Party, and proof they don't take their fear of God seriously enough to stand by him when faced with rejecting their true God, Donald Trump. But anyway, back to Ramaswamy explaining his existence, because in fact, he tried to mute himself and his religion to conform to the demands of his hateful friends.
I know you've had to deal with this already before, but I wanted our people to hear from you direct.
I think this is a great conversation to have because it's true that the United States of America is founded on Judeo-Christian values. That is a fact. And it is also a fact that I'm not raised in a Christian household. I'm a Hindu. I was born in the house of faith, and we raise our two sons in the same tradition as well. So I think it's a perfectly fair question to ask. We share the same values, those Judeo-Christian values, but I share that same value set in common. I went to Christian high school in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm very familiar with the Bible and the values enshrined in the Bible. And I will tell you, when I read the Bible, it didn't feel like I was reading it for the first time. I do think that the real divide in our country is not between people of Hindu faith and Christian faith and Jewish faith. It's the people who believe in a one true God and those who have replaced that vacuum with new secular religions instead. Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism.
It's fair that you're scared of me, Gene, but Hinduism isn't scary. You know what is scary, though? Wokeism is. Did that work? Are you guys still scared of me?
Several days later.
Tonight, before we get started, I want to personally address some things about Flashpoint from last Tuesday. This program is based 100% on the Christian Bible. That is not up for discussion. Neither I nor anyone else in this team has or will ever embrace another religion. So why did I have a presidential candidate on the program Tuesday that professes another faith? When someone of another faith begins to gain popularity, especially with the younger generation, you need to know about that. I won't back down. I won't back down from the Judeo-Christian values this nation was founded upon. Neither will this ministry, this channel, this program, and neither should you, ever. I remain to stand proud and proclaim Jesus is Lord.
Gene damn near lost his entire show over hosting that shape-shifting Hindu that's an instrument of Satan's confusion. But he didn't give up. Vivek kept searching for the magic words to gain acceptance into white supremacist circles that he longs to be a part of.
You didn't say that you condemn white supremacy, though.
I'm not going to recite some catechism for you. I'm against vicious racial discrimination in this country. So I'm not pledging allegiance to your new religion of modern wokeism, which absolutely fits the test. I'm not going to bend the knee to your religion. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to bend the knee to mine, and I'm not going to bend the knee to yours. But do I condemn vicious racial discrimination? Yes, I do. Am I going to play your silly game of gotcha? No, I'm not. And frankly, this is why people have lost trust. And I know you're going to go print the headline tomorrow. I already know this. We already know how your game works. Vivek Ramaswamy refuses to condemn white supremacy because you asked a stupid question. The reality is, I condemn vicious racial discrimination in this country, but the kind of vicious and systematic racial discrimination we see today is discrimination on the basis of race in a very different direction.
You guys, I downplayed white supremacy in the country. I even claim that vicious racial discrimination only happens to white people. Do you accept me yet?
There is a core national identity that is the identity of the WASP. And that doesn't mean we can't take anyone else in, a Sri Lankan or a Japanese or an Indian. But the core around which the nation's values are formed is the WASP. We've never had a president who didn't have at least partial English ancestry.
I don't think she's interested in Vivek's adoption of white supremacy. They've got plenty of pure-blooded representatives to keep their belief systems in place. And one of those beliefs is that they use you for their power structure. You don't get to lead it. Try again.
The left is actually very good at using what I call proxy logic. I reject proxy logic, but the left is actually very good at this. They'll say we need diversity in a corporate institution. So we're going to select for diversity of thought, not by screening candidates for the diversity of their thoughts, but by screening them for the diversity of their skin color, which is a really curious thing. If you care about diversity of thought in a boardroom, why do you care about diversity of shades of melanin or the diversity of your X or Y chromosomes? You could have a room full of people that look really similar to one another and think very differently, or a room full of people that look really different and think the same, which is much of what you get in corporate America today. Why not solve for the actual target that you and I both care about, which is loyalty and an understanding of what you're actually pledging loyalty to, rather than using what I would argue is a left-like false proxy target that you use to solve for the same thing.
So let's see. Hoping to integrate yourself into these bigots' idea of their religion and white supremacy didn't work out. So he tried to convince her of her faults by equating her racism to the idea that we should embrace diversity by actually considering normally disenfranchised people for opportunities, whose qualifications are regularly overlooked because they're not straight white Christian men. Ironically, it's the very thing they keep doing to Vivek. They say, we agree with you, and some of us think you're qualified, but at the end of the day, we refuse to accept you because you don't fit the white supremacist standard. Be grateful that we gave you the subservient role of helping us promote our superiority over you, Vivek.
Every 4 years, I have to hear about how, no, I think we're going to take the Hispanic vote this year. I think we're going to get the Asian vote. No, you're not, Republicans. Every election is decided by slight movements of the white vote. Now, the fact that the white vote is that close, yeah, okay, I hate 50% of them, but they're the ones who change their mind and look at the different candidates. It's much more easy to boss around people who have come from an authoritarian culture. And yes, take your point that this is, at least for this one position, president, you are looking at something other than just what the person actually believes. But nobody really knows what a person actually believes. So why not have a fail-safe? I want to hear you say it. And I'd also be more comfortable if you're third generation and have some English or, British blood in you.